is going on, Jets fans? This is Luca here from Gangrene Chronicles. And today I will be previewing the opening preseason game between the New York Jets and the Green Bay Packers from a Jets fan's perspective. What to look forward to. But if you guys haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you know when I go live or I drop a new video. Regardless, let's break it down. So to start out, we'll start out with the offense, and that's been a major question mark throughout the majority of training camp, with the head honcho, with the head of the snake being Justin Fields. Obviously, this is a new system for Justin Fields, a new system for the Jets. Tanner Engstrand, offensive coordinator, rookie offensive coordinator at that, running a very complex timing offense. Now, with Justin Fields, he's had a pretty mixed bag during training camp. I believe his last practice, he was 7-14 with an interception, one not being his fault, though, off the hands of Jeremy Rucker. Regardless, Fields has had some trouble sensing pressure in the pocket. He's also had some trouble reading defenses throughout camp, or reading the defense throughout camp. And that has unfortunately followed him throughout his entire pro career with the Bears and with the Steelers. We all know about his athleticism. We all know about his arm strength. We all know about his ability to escape out of the pocket and run for yardage. But it's all been between the ears for Justin Fields. And I'd say that the qualms about his play in training camp have been reasonable, but I think it's also, you have to measure that too and say we can't overreact quite yet. He is in a timing offense. He is in a new offense overall. So it's going to be interesting to see him in this preseason game against the Packers and overall in preseason, because you don't want to get too high. You don't want to get too low. It's going to be real interesting to see Fields have chemistry with his wide receivers and how he looks in this Engstrand offense. So two more positions on the offensive side of the ball I want to get to is wide receiver and tight end. Obviously, we know who the head honcho is on the wide receiver position, that being newly extended Garrett Wilson. He's not going to matter for right now. But wide receiver 2 is a huge competition between a lot of receivers. Josh Reynolds, Allen Lazard, Tyler Johnson, Malachi Corley drafted last year and definitely disappointed. And he really hasn't shown up at camp at all this year in terms of performance. He really hasn't made a spark or any terms of highlights or just any signs of growth that he's getting better. Obviously, if he has a quiet training camp and he improves in the regular season, nobody will bat an eye. But the fact that we haven't seen anything from Corley is questionable at best. But there's also receivers that fans should look into. Arian Smith, who the Jets drafted in the late rounds, definitely has a lot of talent in terms of the speed, taking a top off the defense. But the major question mark is his hands. He's worked on his route running, but the hands remain a problem. It is mostly, I believe it is coachable to obviously have work on the hands and get a better catching ability. But overall, Arian Smith is going to be intriguing to watch. Quentin Skinner as well, who has popped off in camp a little bit with his speed. It's going to be interesting to see how he fights for a roster spot on the wide receiver position. Moving to the tight ends, the two tight ends that are currently I'm looking at, is Jeremy Rucker and Stone Smart. Unfortunately, rookie Mason Taylor is out for the foreseeable future, with a ankle sprain. Obviously, those things tend to linger, so it's going to be really on Smart and Jeremy Rucker to hold the tight end position down. Now, with Jeremy Rucker, he's been with the Jets for a few years. He was drafted in 2022, I believe, in the third round, if I'm not mistaken, out of Ohio State. The big problem with Rucker is he really hasn't popped off. 2022 and 2023 was barely utilized. 2024, he had the chance to become a legitimate weapon in the Jets offense with Aaron Rodgers and with that system, and he just never blossomed. Not a good blocker, not a good route runner, not a great receiver either. So if you really can't, improve on those skills, you're not going to make the team at all. And right now, I'd say Rucker is hanging on by a thread for his Jets career at the moment. Meanwhile, Stone Smart has had a nice camp. Chargers fans saw him as a big yards after the catch threat, somebody who could spread the field and make things easier for the offense. Stone Smart, also a very reliable pass catcher, and just in terms of how reliable his hands are. So it's going to be really interesting to see these two battle it out for the tight end position. Behind them is Neil Johnson, not much known about him. But regardless, with all the lack of weapons or a lot of question marks around Justin Fields, somebody's going to have to make a name in the tight end room. Moving to the defensive side of the ball, it's interesting. We have Jermaine Johnson coming back from injury. Will McDonald, who has bulked up, I think, to about 245 pounds. I could be wrong on that. Quentin Williams, obviously looking for a comeback year of sorts. He's had a down year the past 2 years. But the big question is going to be that defensive tackle spot right next to Quentin Williams in this 4-2-5 defense. You have Derek and Noddy. You have Byron Coart, who I believe is hurt at the moment. He might be back. And you also have Peyton Page. You also have Leonard Taylor as possible names that could suit up next to Quentin Williams at the DT2 spot. And the Jets obviously would need help out alongside Quentin Williams. I mean, Jermaine Johnson obviously is going to be healthy, but he's going to have a slow start to the season as they try to get him back to 100%. Will McDonald's going to do fine on the edge, in my opinion, although I had some problems with his consistency last year, whatever. But the Jets do need somebody who could stop the run next to Quentin Williams and create havoc and create holes. Also take bodies as well. Too many times over the past 2 years, and this is not an excuse for Quentin Williams at all, is that Quentin Williams has been double teamed a lot. Somebody needs to take on those double teams. Somebody needs to be good enough to take on those double teams. And even if Quentin Williams is being double teamed, that defensive tackle next to Quentin needs to take advantage of those open holes and open spaces to free up the rush. So that's going to be an interesting battle on the defensive line for the New York Jets. In terms of the secondary, now the linebackers I'm really not much paying attention to, but the secondary is going to be interesting. You obviously have Brandon Stevens. The Jets are slated to play their starters per Aaron Glenn. I don't know how much Stevens is going to play, but it'll definitely be interesting since the Jets are trying to revitalize his career, revive his career. Didn't have a great season last year, mostly known for his penalties and getting beat by receivers because of his poor technique and his ball skills too. But looking at the safety room, I'd place more emphasis on that. Besides the cornerback room, Quantis Stiggers, I think, is going to be an interesting option to look at, see what he does in a new defense. Derek Bernard Converse is still here too. But once I said, going back to the safety room, you have Malachi Moore, you have Tony Adams, you have Andre Cisco. Cisco, I'm definitely excited about in this Jets defense. He's very aggressive. He does tend to miss tackles here and there, but I think he's going to excel with the Jets and their style of defense, very aggressive in your punch in your mouth defense. In terms of Malachi Moore, a very high IQ player. Can't wait to see what he does on the field. He was hurt for a bit, if I'm not mistaken, but hopefully he's healthy for this game tonight. But Tony Adams, I think he's going to be hanging on by a thread. I'm not going to say he's going to miss the roster. I predict that he's going to be cut from this roster, but I think this is going to be one of his last chances to have a good year with the Jets. For me, in my opinion, throughout the past couple of years, he was a UDFA in 2022. The Jets picked him up, and he had a very good training camp, good preseason. Eventually made it to a starter for the past few years, and I think he's really disappointed in terms of what the Jets need. He's not even an average starter, in my opinion, as a safety. Not great coverage skills, poor tackling technique. So it's going to be a really prove-it year for Tony Adams to see if he's going to be in the Jets' future plans on the defense. Final note, I'm interested to see, I shouldn't be interested to see, but more so, what is the coaching going to look like? What are the penalties? Obviously, it might be a sloppy game because it is the first game of the preseason, but if you guys have kept along with me during this video, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button as well. Turn on that notification bell so you know when I go live or drop a new video here on Gangrene Crimes. We'll be back with a post-game video too. Appreciate y'all. Catch you later.